Next on Worcester News Tonight, a local officer killed in the line of duty. What happened and how the community is remembering it. Plus, it's finally here. Non-stop train service to Boston. The impact it could have on the city. Tonight, the Burns Bridge lit in blue to honor fallen Auburn officer Ronald Tarantino Jr., killed while conducting a traffic stop early Sunday morning. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim McCone. Tonight, the Auburn Police Department releasing the funeral arrangements for Officer Tarantino. The wake for Officer Tarantino will be held Thursday from 2 to 7 at St. Joseph's Church, which is on Putnam Road Extension in Charlton. The funeral will be on Friday at 11 a.m. at St. Joseph's Church as well, with the burial to follow at Greenville Baptist Church Cemetery in the Rochdale section of Leicester. The suspect in this case, a 35-year-old Worcester man, fled and evaded police for 18 hours. He was killed in a shootout with police in an Oxford duplex. Our Olivia Lemon has more details on what happened.
The residents of Auburn have lost a dedicated and brave public servant.
An entire community is mourning the loss of 42-year-old Ronald Tarantino. The Auburn police officer was killed in the line of duty early Sunday morning.
Just a stomach-sinking feeling all day, and even still, just knowing something could happen like this. Officer
Tarantino made a motor vehicle stop on Rochdale Street when police say Jorge Zambrano shot Tarantino and took off. This launched a manhunt for the suspect, who was eventually found at this Oxford apartment. The standoff ended in gunfire. Zambrano was shot and killed.
As they entered a bedroom, a closet door burst open. The suspect appeared from inside the closet and fired on the troopers, striking one of them.
Court record shows Zambrano had a lengthy criminal record, including charges for cocaine trafficking and assault and battery on a police officer.
The investigation into Officer Tarantino's homicide will continue.
People came to the Auburn Police Department throughout the day, dropping off flowers and other items to show their support.
I just felt like something I needed to do out of respect. He's a good man. He's a good officer. Good family man.
It's just terrible when something like this happens to your town, and I just had to do something, whether it's bring a flower or, just show support in some way.
Officer Tarantino leaves behind a wife and 3 children. Auburn Police Chief Andrew Slucas says he was a brave officer who will always be remembered for his dedication. Olivia Lemon, Worcester News Tonight.
The man suspected of killing Officer Tarantino had a lengthy criminal record, which includes multiple assaults on police officers. So why was he a free man? Michael Rosenfield has more with a former judge who explains why the system failed.
My concern is how the system moves too fast, and we treat people as files, as numbers, not as individuals. We don't get to know him well.
Retired Massachusetts District Court Judge Isaac Borenstein says the Zambrano case is the result of an overburdened system.
That's the dilemma, and therefore you lose people, which is what happened here. We lost them, and we have a tragedy as a result.
Jorge Zambrano had a lengthy criminal record, including punching a police officer. He'd done prison time. In February, he was in trouble for assaulting a family member, but a judge declined to hold him on a probation violation, according to the Worcester District Attorney's Office. And when he was pulled over just days ago on a revoked license, he was released on personal recognizance, despite the violent past.
You know why? Because it jumps out at you as a revoked license.
Even with his history?
Even with his history. A revoked license carries, it's such a low-level misdemeanor that it again doesn't jump out.
Borenstein says judges don't often have the time to review a defendant's entire history, and even so, Zambrano may not have been considered so dangerous.
The kind of things and people you see doing in an urban court, he does not jump out. This is sad to explain to the public, hard to explain to the public, but he does not stand out as some of the most dangerous people that we see. We see people with repeat knifings, shootings, gun possessions.
Borenstein says the judges and the DA who handled Zambrano should be asking questions, as recent opportunities to hold him in jail were lost.
We should take this case metaphorically into a hangar, like a destroyed airplane, and reconstruct it. What happened?
We're hearing more about how police found the suspect from neighbors who witnessed the standoff. Police say he was found at this apartment in Oxford on Watt Street. Police found Zambrano on the second floor hiding in a closet. As officers opened the door, Zambrano began shooting. Officers shot back and hit him. Neighbors across the street say they heard the whole thing.
We didn't know what was happening. We heard gunshots, which we thought were gunshots, but it was apparently them shooting the canisters in through the window. We heard everything going on, everything that they said when they were in the truck.
Pop, 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 just like that. And they would go. You could hear it going through the trees. You could hear it. I mean, it was like a war zone.
One state trooper was hit and is in stable condition. State police stopped and arrested Zambrano last week. It was that incident that helped authorities connect Zambrano as a suspect in the fatal shooting of Officer Tarantino. Moments of silence before baseball and softball games today at Leicester High School. Officer Ronald Tarantino Jr. worked in Auburn but lived in Leicester with his family. He was well known and loved in the community. And as our Rosalind Flaherty reports, students at the high school are making sure his family knows they have an entire town behind them.
The Leicester High School baseball team usually wears maroon and white. Today, their uniforms are blue, a tribute to fallen police officer Ronald Tarantino Jr.
Wanted to tribute the family and support him and his father.
The seniors on the team are classmates with Tarantino's son. They've been in touch with him since Sunday's tragedy.
We called him about what we were planning on doing today, and he asked us to go get a win for his dad, so that's definitely in the back of our minds all day today.
Players made blue t-shirts. All had the name Tarantino on their back above their number.
Shows that everyone cares, the whole school today wore blue to support the cause and show the support of the Tarantino family.
This tragedy has hit home here in Leicester, and this baseball game is just one of the many examples of how the community has come together to support the officer's family.
Just really hurting for the Tarantino family. We love them very, very much. This whole community loves them very, very much.
He was a big part of our community. Mm-hmm. And as we all know, they called him the gentle giant. He was really tall, 6'4", and he loved everybody.
The team says they will wear the blue t-shirts to games for the rest of the year, a show of support in a close-knit community.
It's a sad thing. It's tough to swallow, and there's always going to be that hole there. You see this happen around the country, but when it happens here in your own backyard, it's something else. It's surreal.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Now, Leicester did win that baseball game, and we'll have complete highlights coming up in sports. Officer Tarantino spent 7 years with the Leicester Police Department. Our Brittany Schaefer was also in the town today and has the department's reaction.
All the past and present members of the department are devastated by this tragic loss of our friend and colleague, Officer Ron Tarantino.
The Leicester Police Department draped in black bunting Monday. Officer Ronald Tarantino served here for 7 years before taking a job in Auburn.
He knew the risks, but the greater good was everything that Ron Tarantino was about.
The dispatcher who had to take that call was his best friend, so it's tough.
LPD remembers Tarantino as being a great police officer, but most of all, a great friend.
Ron was more than just a co-worker. He was a friend of all of us and someone who always made your day better.
Unbelievable guy. He's just a great person, friendly with everybody.
Leicester police officer Derek Ruth worked with Tarantino the entire 7 years he was with their department.
Not only impacted my life in such a positive way, but he impacted my children and my family's life.
Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Residents of Dudley discuss a controversial proposal Monday night. The town meeting was to talk about the construction of a Muslim cemetery. The Islamic Society of Greater Worcester has applied for a special permit to buy a farmland in Dudley to build the burial ground. Most of the opposition is not based on religious concerns. One resident we spoke with says he is sympathetic towards the need for the cemetery, but is worried about the ramifications.
What I am a little more sympathetic to is the people of the community, especially those that abut it, and the impact it may or may not have in terms of some of their health concerns, in addition to which the property value impact that it may have on them as well.
Dozens gathered at Union Station Monday morning to board the city's first ever express train to Boston. The service is part of the new MBTA schedule. And as our Andy Madison shows us, nonstop service to Beantown could go a long way to bringing more people to Worcester.
In a city where people are always on the go,
Be very quick.
there's now train service to get them to Boston faster.
An hour means something to people. You know, people I think who commute and do things, that's something you can quantify.
For the first time ever, commuters got on the train in Worcester and arrived in Boston in an hour. The first train packed with city and state officials.
This is the express to Boston. Our first stop will be York.
Hopeful this trip is the first of several express trains between the two cities.
One train is good, two would be better, and three would be wonderful.
For Worcester commuters, there's now one express train in the morning from Worcester and one at night that leaves from Boston's South Station.
It will definitely be a convenient option if we decide to come this way, because a normal hour-and-a-half train can be a lot if you're an early commuter to Boston.
The express train leaves Worcester's Union Station and makes 3 stops in Boston, Yawkey, Back Bay, before arriving here at South Station.
The drive to have more people and more connection between Boston and Worcester, I think this makes sense right now.
It's one of the busiest rail lines on the MBTA, and one riders have been frustrated with over the years. The push for express service started years ago.
We were able to get to 20 round trips, but ultimately as we made the track improvements and acquired new locomotives and coach cars, it was also about beginning to establish nonstop service in that frequency of trains.
For commuters, it's about time. Andy Madison, Worcester News Tonight.